Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our afternoon streaming show. I am Robinson Miles, and sadly, once again, I am just Robinson Miles. Our Jamie French is taking some much-earned time off. She'll be back around a little bit later this week, but for now, you're stuck with just me. So let's go ahead and jump right into our main headlines here today. Of course, the thing we're still keeping our eye on is we're still feeling all of the impacts from our recent winter storms. Now, road crews are working again today to clear snow from tri-state roads. Officials in Evansville say crews have cleared hundreds of miles since the snow started falling on Saturday. They say crews are nearing completion of secondary roads, those residential streets and side streets, and are preparing to tackle as many side streets and neighborhoods as they can. The crews say they're compiling a list, and if you want to add your neighborhood, make sure they're not missing anybody, be sure to give them a call. Now, we have posted that number and contact information on our website, 14news.com. Now, the other side of that, of course, there are a lot of impacts of this cold weather. And while we think a lot about, or we've been very conscious of the ways this affects drivers, different people inside their homes, it also has been affecting animals. Now, we've been bundling up to stay warm in the bitter cold this week, and animal control officers are making sure pets are taken care of as well. 14 News rode along with officers in Henderson County as they checked in on some animals they received calls about. Officer John Moore says those calls usually focus on education for the pet owners rather than taking the animal. Moore says if you keep your pet outside, make sure they have adequate shelter, food, water, and straw to help them to stay warm. Now, I'll have more on that story tonight on 14 News. Now, last of all, we do have a headline that is not snow related, be that good or bad, depending on your preferences. The only locally owned bank in Henderson will soon have new ownership. Officials with NASDAQ companies Stockyards and Bancorp say they're merging with Field & Main. Now, Stockyards already has branches in Louisville, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati areas. Field & Main was established in Henderson in 1887 under a different name. They have branches in Evansville, Henderson, and several other Kentucky cities. Officials say this is expected to be finalized in the second quarter. So that is going to wrap up our headlines here today. Now, I know that you are all just being patient with me. What you really want to hear from is our amazing weather team. And thankfully, we have a member of that team here for just a few minutes. So, of course, there's a lot more going on the news side of things. Be sure to circle back and join us again for 14 News at 4, 5, 6, and 10. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to the wonderful 14 First Alert meteorologist, Michael Fecca.
Stay informed on your local news and weather throughout the day by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows. At 8:30 a.m., get your First Alert forecast to plan the day ahead and catch up on the news that happened overnight with the 14 News Sunrise team. In the afternoon, get the latest headlines, forecasts, and a preview of the stories we're working on with the 14 First Alert streaming show at 2:30. And get an in-depth look at the 14 First Alert forecast so you're ready for the next big thing with the 14 First Alert weather show at 9 p.m. Watch the 14 First Alert streaming show that fits your schedule and works best for you. Streaming on your phone by downloading the 14 News app and the 14 First Alert weather app. On your smart TV by using the 14 News streaming app. And stream anytime on Facebook, YouTube, or on 14news.com. Stay connected and stay informed by watching the 14 First Alert streaming shows on your favorite streaming devices.
Well, good afternoon. It's meteorologist Michael Fecca. Now we're on to the weather portion of our afternoon news and weather stream show. And, you know, not a surprise here. We're on alert once again. We've been on alert here through the entire week, and we continue to be on alert through at least Sunday. Now we're looking at mostly slick spots and black ice, at least through the next couple of days. And then we've got the chance for some more light scattered snow moving through on Friday. Not expecting much in the way of accumulation, but of course, with what we've already got going on out there, you know, it'll just make things a little bit worse for you as you're trying to get around. And then we've got another cold black blast moving through Friday night into Sunday. So more of the same, more cold, more chances for snow, and more trouble getting around is pretty much the summary of this forecast here. But let's get started with a look at our radar and our Doppler radar across the United States. And for the most part, at least, the eastern half of the U.S. is fairly quiet. We've got this area of high pressure that's beginning to build into areas of the northern plains. And along the side with it, you have some vortexes or areas of upper level energy kind of streaming down. And as those pieces of energy stream down, it'll conjure up a few chances for clouds and maybe even the potential for a flurry or two. But again, not expecting much out of that through tonight. I think most of us are going to stay dry, but you can see there is that spot snow shower there just north of DuQuoin in southern Illinois, but it should kind of fizzle up and dry out as it moves through. There's a lot of dry air closer to the surface, so even if it does move overhead, it probably won't reach the ground. But outside of a flurry, we should be quiet here through the rest of the day, and it's going to be cold still. Temperatures are hanging out in the 20s, 23 degrees here in Evansville, same thing there in Huntingburg, 24 in Newburgh and Henderson, 28 though, the warm spot on the map, Madisonville. That's where you're getting at least some of that sunshine poking through, so that's helping warm you up just a touch. But it still feels a lot colder than it actually is. Any little bit of a breeze is going to bring those feels-like temperatures down. So it feels like only 12 here in Evansville, only 11 in Huntingburg, and 13 there in Henderson. Now, as we go through tonight, we'll have partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies. We have to watch out for areas of black ice, not necessarily because we have any precipitation coming down, but because a lot of the snow is beginning to melt a little bit, and with a lot of the cars driving over that, it's leading to some wet spots on the roadways, which, you know, if they don't dry out during the day, they refreeze overnight, and they create some very, very isolated, hard to see slick spots, which is what we call black ice. And there's also the potential for some patchy areas of fog as well. So be cautious of that as you're headed out overnight or very early tomorrow morning. In terms of the wind chill forecast, it shouldn't be too bad. Our wind chills should actually line up pretty close to what our actual temperatures are going to be. We'll be dropping down tomorrow we'll be warming back up into the mid to upper 20s. 25 degrees for our Thursday with mostly cloudy skies, wind chills between 15 to 20 degrees above zero. But looking at the wind chill forecast through the end of the work week, it gets a lot colder there once we get into this weekend. So -10, -9 is what it could be feeling like waking up Friday morning and then again on Saturday morning. So you definitely want to continue to do what you've been doing all week long, which is bundling up, layering up, 3+ layers on the top, 2 on the bottom, big pair of warm boots, a gloves, a hat, and a scarf, and you should be good to go. And of course, limiting that time outside, especially when that wind picks up, is going to be key. But we have some improvements on the way. So we're going to be cold here again for the next several days, especially once we get through the weekend. We'll have another cold snap there. And then we start to warm back up. And we actually will warm back up above freezing by the time we get into the middle of next week. So it looks like Tuesday will top out at around 35 degrees. But we could be looking at around 11 consecutive days here where we're below freezing. We've been below freezing since last Friday. We'll be below freezing here through tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and even onto Monday. It's Tuesday that we actually finally warm back above that mark. So that may be a historical stretch of cold weather headed our way. But outside of the cold, while we don't have many chances for precipitation, there is still some slight chances that we get a couple of snow showers here, especially by the time we get into Thursday night and into Friday. So let me show you what that looks like here. So we'll be dry during the day on Thursday. It's really late Thursday night that we start to see that chance for maybe a few scattered flurries. As you can see, it's very, very spotty. You barely can even tell it's showing up here on the radar, but there is that chance for some light snow showers, especially on the eastern half of the tri-state. I think a lot of that snow shower activity stays well to the east of the tri-state. And looking here at our snowfall projections, our models here, we have 4 different models here. We're going to compare them to one another. A lot of them are only putting out a dusting up to an inch. No one really has more than an inch with any of these snow showers. And here on these maps, it looks more widespread. It's not going to be this widespread either. I think it's going to be very, very spotty. Most people probably don't even see a snow shower Friday, but it is possible some locations get a quick coating, which of course is only a drop in the bucket compared to what we got this past weekend, but with road crews still trying to get things in order on the roadways, just that little bit of a dusting or an inch possible may throw a wrench into things. So we want you guys to be aware of that. Again, not a snowstorm, just a couple of snow showers, but what is a couple of snow showers here may end up becoming a big snowstorm for some folks, especially along the East Coast. So here we are Friday morning. We've got some of that light snow shower activity in the tri-state, but it's associated with this low that's going to be passing from our south and then off to the east, specifically off the southeast coast. And once it kicks off the southeast coast, it's going to hit that warm ocean water, and that's where this thing starts to intensify. So they're expecting very heavy snowfall across areas that typically don't see it down in the Carolinas. And depending on the exact track of this, if this thing starts to track westward, that may bring another blow of heavy snowfall to areas up and along the I-95 corridor, which could continue to disrupt travel, especially with anyone having any flights. And so that'll kick off to the east. And then we've got another, weak low pressure system that'll probably pass overhead early next week. That may bring us another chance for a few light snow showers. Again, not expecting any kind of snowstorm or real heavy snowfall through the next 7 days. Fairly light stuff. It's just more of the same. Very cold, mostly dry. Few snow showers there throughout the day on Friday, possibly again Monday or into Tuesday, but it's pretty low at this point. So nothing to get worked up about, but that is the forecast there. So I'm going to hop off the live stream and I'll send you guys over to 14 News at 4, 5, and 6 for all the latest news and weather headlines. And then, of course, I'll be back here at 9 o'clock tonight on All Streaming once again for another update on the forecast. And then I'll be on the 10 o'clock news later on tonight with more news and weather headlines. So everybody stay safe, stay warm, and have a great rest of your day.